Hello people of the internet and welcome back to Salty Rants. This is going to be the name of the impromptu series where I rant about a topic in War Thunder while playing a game in War Thunder. If you're wondering where I've been and why I haven't uploaded in a couple of weeks, I've been working. I recently got my first job and have been thoroughly enjoying it. I've also been busy with school stuff. Anyway, today's topic is copy-paste. In case you have missed the memo, 7 days ago Gaijin announced the update Fire and Ice. Yeah. Basically, if you don't know what they did, Gaijin announced the Finnish tech tree coming to War Thunder. I believe it will be a sub-tech tree for Sweden. Kind of like how the South African tech tree is a sub-tech tree in Britain. But basically like that. Which makes sense, they're both Nordic countries. That being Sweden and Finland. Not Britain and South Africa, they're not Nordic countries. I just thought I'd clarify that. I would also like to clarify, I don't hate integrated tech trees. I think they're actually a really good way to give a nation more vehicles, as well as introduce a different countries' vehicles into the game. I think they're good when they're used correctly. I'm also not inherently against copy and paste. I actually believe copy and paste is a good thing when it's used correctly. I think Japan is probably the best example of copy and paste actually being used pretty efficiently, honestly. I think when it's used to fill gaps in a tech tree, copy and paste can be a very beneficial thing for the Japanese tech tree, because the vast majority of the vehicles, upwards of 80 or 90%, are actually unique vehicles designed by the Japanese. They're unique, they offer new gameplay, even if that gameplay is tearing your hair out about missile guidance. I think that copy and paste is actually used properly in the Japanese tech tree. It's used to fill gaps where, to my knowledge, the Japanese don't actually have any vehicles that can fill those gaps, particularly at the mid to late World War II AAA and mid to late war light tanks. That's where the American vehicles and the Japanese tech tree really start, and I don't have a problem with that, simply because it makes a lot of logical sense. I do start to have a problem with copy and paste when entire tech trees are made up of vehicles that aren't unique. By that I mean modifications of other vehicles' tanks. I can understand why tech trees like this would exist. The Chinese tech tree is good for players who don't want to grind out both the US and Russia and are interested in both of said countries' vehicles. It's actually pretty good for players who want to do that. And I can understand the allure of tech trees like that. You get really the best of both worlds without having to go through the mind-numbing grind twice. I don't think that's inherently bad. The only thing that I just don't like about it is I don't like fighting my main nation's vehicles. I don't play War Thunder to fight. If I'm in, an IS-1 or a BMP-1, I don't want to be fighting other BMP-1s and other IS-1s. Personally, I don't find that fun. I can understand why some other people would find that fun, but I'm of the opinion if you want that action, go play arcade or something. I don't play Ground RB to fight my own nation's vehicles. It's for that reason I also don't really like mixed battles that much. I feel like it kind of pulls away from some of the allure of War Thunder. That being unique battles, where, that being, dynamic battle engagements. You have to be aware of your own vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, and also mindful of your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. Oh my god. Good on that PEA. Anyway, this is kind of why I think Gaijin's getting a little bit lazy with these updates. I don't think it takes very much effort to really model in these new types of these new vehicles that are coming. They don't really add anything unique. basically gives Sweden a bunch of Russian and German vehicles. That's kinda it. This is really why I just don't particularly like it. You know, I play Sweden for the Swedish vehicles. I think they're cool and they add another unique bit of gameplay to the game. I don't really want to be fighting more Russian vehicles at top tier, you know? And I don't like situations in which I'm fighting my own nation's vehicles. Now I've said this point a lot, but it's just not that fun. It means that I don't really have to account for the strengths and weaknesses of my vehicle and my opponent's vehicle because we're just in the same vehicle, and it just turns into whoever clicks first wins. If we're both in something like an IS-2, like say I'm in the Chinese IS-2 and they're in the Russian IS-2, you know, as an example, it would be whoever shoots first most likely wins. And I feel like there could be some, like, maybe some laziness behind the scenes with Gaijin on their part. I'm not saying Gaijin's a lazy company, I don't think they are. I can definitely aim. Hello, fellow aimers. Then again, you know, I can see where Gaijin's coming from. One would be money, obviously, and the other would be a pressure to get an update out. But I really don't think the way to do that is to just introduce a bunch of copy and paste vehicles. You know, there are much better ways to promote your game than through negativity. Yes, it gets people talking about it. If you introduce an update, there's a bunch of copy and paste vehicles. Some people will love it, some people will hate it. It will generate discussion. Proof of that, well, I'm making this video, and the War Thunder Reddit forums exist. Not that there's much discussion going on there. It's just a bunch of people ranting at each other. But you know, again, there's been an example of why the Japanese tech tree is okay. If you look at it, right, the vast majority of the Japanese tech tree is vehicles that were actually made by Japan. Like these type, you know, the Type 10, Type 90, and the Type 90s, Type 74s. These are all tanks that were designed in Japan, right? These are the Cold War era tanks designed in Japan. Only copy and paste vehicles would be the M47, M36, those two AAAs, those, you know, 3 light tanks, and the M16, right? Those are the only copy and paste vehicles in the entire tech tree. And they serve a very important purpose. They help bolster the lineup for Japan at the mid-ranks, and they fill some gaps in the tech tree. For example, if these weren't here, you'd be going straight from the Kami to the Type 60 SPRG. You know, from 1.0 to 6.7. That's a huge jump. That's just, no. These do need to be there. They serve an important role, and I think they're actually fine being here. They don't destroy the balance of the game. And they also won't lead to mass spam because not too many people play Japan. So if you are playing a Sherman, you might encounter one other Sherman or two other Shermans in your own match. That I can deal with. My main problem is when that happens to every tech tree. The Chinese tech tree comes to mind, you know? You've just, well, yeah, look at it. You really, it's only once you start reaching 8.3, 8.0 where you start getting, you know, actual Chinese designs in, you know, the PTLs. And that's what I really don't like about this. If I'm playing you mid rank or even up here, I'm just I if I was playing like I don't know, say Soviet Union 8.3, right? Say I'm playing USSR 8.3. You know, I have my T55A, maybe an IT1 and stuff, and I'd be going up against, you know, T55s and T62s. You know, it's just not that fun. I understand the appeal of the Chinese tech tree, you know. If you're a person that likes the vehicles of both the USSR and also the vehicles of the USA, you can play China and grind China, get a few unique vehicles as well, and then you don't have to grind those two tech trees separately. And you still get, you know, the most iconic vehicles. You know, you get the M24, you know, you get the Sherman, you get the T34. You know, brilliant. You get all the vehicles you want, and you don't have to grind two separate tech trees. Great. I understand that appeal, but I don't really like it from a gameplay perspective. I think the addition of the Finnish tech tree would be good if they were like Finnish designed tanks. But the Swedes, have a pretty complete tech tree. You know, its top tier lineups fantastic. I think it could do with a bit more um, working around maybe in these BRs because you don't really have a great mid BR bracket. You have great, 7-7-7-3. That's very strong, but below that you don't have a ton of vehicles. You've got two 4.0s and you have a 4.7 and a 5.0, and it is a bit frustrating. Especially if you want to put a lineup together like 6-7, you have 1-6-7, or 5-3, or you have 5.0 or 5.7. Take a pick. I mean, I haven't gone to the dev server in order to actually look at the Finnish tech tree vehicles as they are in the game, but really, I don't think I need to. It doesn't take a genius to see why copy and paste is lazy and really just annoying. I feel like it would be a bit better for Gaijin and a bit better for War Thunder if instead of trying to just add new vehicles every single patch and resorting to copy and paste to actually do this, I think it would be better if they did like an Operation Health that Siege had. If they just took a step back from adding new vehicles and making everyone go, "Oh, look at this cool Leopard 2 with slightly different armor, therefore unique." Something like that. If they took a step back from doing that and actually just sat down and just did a bug fix update for the game, because I think that'd be much better. Fix audio issues, server issues, those graphical glitches, random game crashes, all that jazz. I think it would be fantastic if just for an entire major update, they did that and they just solved those issues. I think that'd really make War Thunder a much more positive game and would make the community you love Gaijin a lot more. And, if more people think the game is good, they'll be more likely to recommend it to other people. And when you have more people recommended the game, that's more new players. And that means more revenue for Gaijin. You can't lose by doing that. And I think that'd be much better than just trying to push out as many vehicles as possible and resorting to copy and paste to do it, because it really just does kill the vibe of the game for me. Because if I'm playing realistic battles, I don't want to be fighting vehicles of my own nations. I really don't want to. I want to be fighting vehicles of other nations and experiencing the dynamic gameplay that comes because of that. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay salty, my lemons.